Wonderful. If you're already subscribed, welcome back, my darling. And if you have not yet subscribed, subscribe. Subscribe and join a part of our little family, of our community. And while you're down there hitting the subscribe button, because I have faith in you that you will, be sure that you also turn your notifications on for all notifications and become a part of the Morgan Shay Notify a gang. So today, this is a story that I've had written in my little book. You guys know, since I started YouTube, I started writing down all of the crazy shit that's happened to me in my life in a binder. And actually, a friend of mine brought this up today. And I was like, you know what? Scratch what I had planned for Wednesday. Let's tell this story. Because every time I think about it, I get so just like emotional thinking about it that we're just going to go ahead and tell it. So, oh my God, you guys, this is the story of the time that my shitty ex-best friend, that there are other story times in regards to her on my channel, walked into the room butt-ass naked in front of like the guy that I was like in love with, my first love. So let's get into it. So this was after like post breakup with my first love. We're gonna call him Stan. Y'all, I was so in love with Stan. All of my friends knew how much I loved Stan, how much I wanted to be back together with Stan. Like, I was all about Stan, and all of my friends knew this, like all of them. There wasn't a single ass friend who didn't know how I felt about Stan. And anytime that he wanted to hang out, I would drop every single thing that I had going and like hang out with Stan. So this one in particular day, we had been like texting or whatever throughout the week, and we had planned to hang out. And so we decided to like get a hotel room, and I was gonna bring my best friend and he was gonna bring two of his friends. And there was intentions for like my ex-best friend, which we'll call her Trash. We had plans for Trash to kind of like hang out with one of Stan's friends. So they get there, everything's great, and the whole like time before Stan and his friends got there, I had told Petty like I'm super nervous, like I spent a long time getting ready, like, you know, the whole nine, like all the things that you do before your boo thing or crush comes over. You know, like how it goes. You're shaving, you're doing all the things, like you're getting your makeup ready, you're picking out the perfect outfit, like the whole 9 yards. And so Stan and his friends get there, and again, I'm super nervous, and we're just hanging out, you know. I think we were like watching TV, like, you know, me and Stan are flirting, things are going good. And y'all, I just need you guys to know like how badly I wanted to get back together with Stan. Like so bad. And he was like, he went through literally like a teenage, like late teenage to early 20s crisis. He was very like contained his whole life and was like, you know, I don't want to like get into his details because I don't want you investigators to figure out who I'm talking about. But if you know who I'm talking about and you know me in real life, please do not release his real information, because he is a happily married man, and I just don't want any of that. But like, he was very like, I don't know, he was just like a robot. Like, he was made to like do, this is your life and this is the way you're living it, like up until he was grown. And then he went buck wild and broke up with me and cheated on me. And like, God, there's so much to do with Stan that I have stories coming. But I was still so in love with him. Like, I was not ready to break up with him at all. Like, he was my first time holding hands, the first time I ever kissed a man, the first time I ever had sex with a man. The first time I literally did anything with a man was with Stan. So I was like, in the South especially, we're like raised like, once you commit yourself in that way to a man, like, you're together forever. Like, that was the way that I was raised. And, you know, people in his family would say, oh, just let him get it out of his system. Like, you guys will get back together. I know he loves you, da 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 da. So anytime that me and Stan would hang out, like I was like full on naive, like full on just losing my mind, like thinking like, this is it. This is when he's going to see, like, I'm the one, he's, you know, I'm meant for him. I'm the only one meant for him, da, 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 da. And like the thing about Stan was, which again, we're going to get more into Stan later, but like in other stories, but like Stan would like feed me into the idea that like he still wanted me. So I was full on under the impression, like, of course I would see other people, and then we'll get into it. But anyways, let's just get back into the story. I'm getting sidetracked with Stan, and I just want you guys to know a little bit of a backstory. Like, I was full on in love with this man. Like, I would drop anybody for him until I didn't, okay? And waited for him for years. 4 literal years, you guys, until I ended up falling in love with somebody. And anyways, so he's coming, they get there, we're hanging out, we're having a good time. All of a sudden, you guys, and here's the other thing. Trash was a whore, straight up. Like, there was no like flirting and like, you know, on the 3rd or 4th date, like maybe you might like hook up or whatever. Like, no, she would full on like fuck you right now. Like, that is no exaggeration. That is like the real tea of it all. And anybody who knows who I'm talking about can confirm that information. Like, she was a full on hoe, and that's just the way it was. So she disappears into the bathroom. I don't really think about it. Again, I am spending these like precious moments with Stan. Like, they were like, it was precious time. Like, any time that I could spend with Stan, it was like precious to me. So I would like full on like not pay attention to anybody. The outside world did not exist, okay? And so we're just doing whatever, and all of a sudden, his buddy, we'll call him Bob, and Stan, like, their mouths literally hit the floor. And his other buddy, we'll call Kyle, is on the other bed, so I can't see his expression, but I can see Bob and I can see Stan's, and they're like, I'm like thinking in my head, like, oh my God, what has she done? Y'all, this bitch full on, like, got completely butt-ass naked. I think she had panties on. Okay, so she left her puss to the imagination. That was it. And walked full on in the motel room naked with her titties out. And let me just preface, like, Trash had full on like big O boobs. Like, they were huge. People used to think that they were fake all the time. And for me, this like broke my heart. This like was like one of those moments when I was like, you are not a friend to me. Because if you were a friend, you would have never done this. You would have never full on come in here with your titties out in front of the guy that you know that I'm like in love with. Like, any guy that I would date, I would compare to Stan. Like, they would never be good enough. They would never, and I would try to date guys that like matched his like energy. Like, they would have to dress like Stan. They would have to wear the same cologne as Stan. They would have to drive a truck like Stan. They would have to talk to me like Stan. They would have to be romantic to me, like the way Stan was. They would have to be super good in bed the way Stan was. Like, they had to be just like Stan. And if they weren't, like, bye. Like, I would not even give them the time of day. And she knew this. Like, she was my best friend. You know, even my like everyday like people that I worked with, like regular people, like knew how I felt about Stan. And everybody else was full on aware and respected that. Like, nobody else that I was friends with or hung out with or anything would have ever done what she did this night. Y'all, I was so crushed. I was so pissed. I was so heartbroken. And in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, he's a guy. So like, he's like super turned on and he wants to fuck her. Like, that is what's going on in my mind. And like, he's grossed out. And I don't know this at the time. So I'm so mad. I'm spending all of my time like so pissed off at her. I'm being super salty. And all of a sudden I start to like realize the vibe that they're giving. They're like, what the hell? Like, who does this? And they full on leave. Like, they full on leave. Like, she freaked them out to the point to where they left. And these are like 20, 21-year-old boys, okay? And they full on left the motel room. Okay? And it was really, she would do things like this all the time where it was like super weird. And you'd be like, why did you do that? Like, that's so weird. Like, we were all just sitting there like hanging out. They had literally probably been there, you guys, 30 minutes to an hour. Like, literally not long at all. Like, she hadn't even like gotten to know his buddy in enough of a time. Kyle, the guy that's who she was there to like hang out with. She hadn't like got to know him at all. And full on comes in there with no top on. And I'm pretty sure she was only in her panties. They were so freaked out they left. Like, Steve ends up texting me and he's like, I'm sorry, but like that was weird. Like, we were all weirded out. You know, I want to come back and hang out with you, just you. But that's always the thing. Trash never had a car. Trash never had a way to leave. Trash never had nobody that could come get her. And I was so upset, like, not only did I not get laid, but I didn't get to spend as much time with Steve as I wanted to. Like, I was just so upset with her, you guys. And just to get a little bit more into the situation, because this is going to be important for the next story time that does come out in regards to so like I said, I had basically like waited for years. I would lie to him and say, oh no, I'm talking to other people, da 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 da. I would like just entertain like these guys that I had no interest in, just to like make him jealous. And instead, like, that like kept him away and at guard for a while, until I ended up meeting the guy that would get me pregnant, the guy I had miscarriage from. I ended up meeting him. And y'all, when I met him, like, I fell so in love with him. And I don't know if it was because I'd gotten pregnant by him, and you guys know we ended up losing the baby, and it like brought us super, super close until it didn't. And I think like he was there to like be so strong for me that when it came time for, he didn't get to deal with his own shit. And then he dealt with his shit and he ended up like leaving. So like a week to the day before that guy ended up like leaving, I have a whole story time coming about that. So I have a story time coming about the day he left, because you guys will freak, okay? But a week before he left, I get a message from and he's like, hey, I need to meet with you. I was like blowing him off. I was like, no, 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 no. And one of my good friends, I'll say her name. Her name's Ashley. She was like, Morgan, you need to meet with. And I was in my head like, no, this, you know, this new guy's who's for me. All these chances. I've literally waited for him for like 4 or 5 years. Like, absolutely not. No, I'm happy. Forget that. And everybody was telling me, Morgan, don't be stupid. You'll regret this. So I end up going, we end up meeting at like this karaoke place that was really popular. It's not around anymore, but it used to be super, super popular. And he basically tells me like, be with me or don't. Because if you're not, then I am about to move on. And I chose the guy that ended up leaving me instead of. And you guys, that fucked with me so hard. I ended up doing drugs. It leads into a whole other thing, which we'll get into. We will get into all the story times. But yeah, that is about the time that my shitty ex-best friend walked into the room butt-ass naked in front of like the love of my life. I was mortified. I was pissed. I was so upset. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure before you leave that you do subscribe to this channel. Be sure that you are following me on social media. It is all linked down below. And until next time, my beautiful little darlings.